All right, so let's do this. Forward-facing sonar. So Mark Daniels Jr., MDJ, hell of a fisherman, came out with a video the other day about forward-facing sonar, right? And the interesting part was, for me, and again, we do these. I do this just live, off the cuff, no editing, no nothing. So true thoughts are just out, and it is what it is. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But you can definitely tell me in the comments. But so MDJ did this video. Took him a while to get to the point. He got to the point. Thinks it should be banned, right? Just needs to be gone. I am the guy that was out of fishing or into fishing and then out of fishing because of chasing a guaranteed paycheck, and then now I'm back again, right? So in that time, forward-facing sonar became a thing. So the first thing I did when I got back into this, 2023, I bought the boat. I ran straight to Bass Pro Shops. I bought me a Garmin, put the live scope on the front deck, and went to learning, right? Because to me, in my head, this is a legal thing that was being used in all the circuits at the time, and there's absolutely no way that I'm gonna go out there at a deficit when everybody else was using it, right? I needed to learn it. I needed to catch up. I've been gone a minute, so I needed to learn it, right? Because the important part is this was allowed. So over time, obviously I used it. I could see things, I could see fish and all of those things. But I mean, the most important thing that I learned from forward-facing sonar was not that I could just cast out there, see a fish, watch my lure, watch him eat it. That's not what I learned. What I learned was that there's a hell of a lot more fish out there than I thought. What I learned is that I need to figure out between the crappie, white bass, striper, catfish, carp, and bass, what are all those things? And how do they look on the screen? The other part is which ones are ready to play? Excuse me. Which ones are ready to bite? Which ones are active? Which ones are the dumb ones? That's what I call them. I mean, I've always said it. I don't need to catch 1 million fish. I need to catch 5 dumb ones that are good size, right? So, how do you know when they're ready to play? And a lot of that you figure out by throwing it out there, and they either look at it, they don't look at it, they come, they chase it, they follow it to the boat, whatever. But what it shows you is you're missing a lot more fish than you're catching. But beyond that, let's just get to being banned. Now the argument is that with forward-facing sonar, fish don't have a place to rest anymore. The argument is that they'd get out deep, offshore, ledges, stuff like that. And then now we're seeing them with live scope. So we're picking on them when they're shallow. We're picking on them when they're deep. We're picking on them in between because we can see them. I'm not disagreeing with what MDJ said. But at the other side of that is SideScan was showing that in 2014 and 15, showing these fish offshore, right? Now, could you see your lure going down to them and all that other stuff? No, but you were able to locate them, and that is the number one thing in my brain that live scope is about. It's locating the fish. It's seeing what they're relating to, seeing what they're doing, right? So I think that's capable. You're capable of doing those same things with 2D if you're on it, and just scanning and just putting them in a lot of seed time. It's capable with side scan, and it's capable with down scan. You can still find those same fish. Now, are you gonna throw a stupid ass urchin bait out there and just sit there and twitch it in front of its face until they bite? Probably not. But you could theoretically do that. You're just casting blind. You're not looking. And I keep hearing that now. I'm blind casting, because the tournaments have shifted now. They've got periods in which you can use this. You got periods, you get a 3-hour window on the Toyota Pro Circuit or whatever. You get 2.5 hour period on MLF. And then on some of the bass stuff, you can use it all day or you can't use it at all. But at the end of the day, what difference does it make? It's legal. So MDJ is calling, ban it. Show me some data. I need to understand, are we ruining fish populations and longevity? Are there stats? Is there data behind it to say we're picking on them, we're shortening their life expectancy because of the pressure we're putting on them? Is there data showing that the spawn is affected now, even though we've all been sight fishing for as long as I can remember and way before I was born, and I'm an old sumbitch? You know, we've picked on these fish shallow because that's what we did. But ledge fishing has been around for a long time, and the ones that were good at it before forward-facing sonar, they were stacking them up. You look, go Timmy Horton. Dude was just absolutely cranking. Kelly Jordan, Lake Fork. You know, there are so many examples. So, yeah, technology evolves as we do. But calling for a straight out ban, I'm not really sure about, right? And again, I'm only going to use what I'm legally allowed to use. It's legal. So let's stop crying about it. Let's stop doing this. And the one thing out of this whole thing is 2 years ago, MDJ, and again, I'm not attacking the guy. I love him to death. The guy's hilarious. He's got a great personality. He's an excellent fisherman. But he was able to come out and say something because he's not sponsored by any of these people, and he hasn't been for 2 years. So he was able to say some things, and then now people are jumping in on it. But I'm not sponsored by any of them either. But I can actually see where this can further the sport. Now, does there need to be limitations? Because with AI and the rest of it, and that's the world I work in, technology, it's gonna get even better. So do we need to have some controls? Probably. It's gonna get silly. You know, pretty soon you're gonna be able to wear glasses with sonar on your glasses and telling you what color bait to throw. There's already watches out there that do this, by the way. Just drop in a little thing in the water. It's on your watch. It's telling you, hey, watercolor is this, water temp is that. You probably should be throwing a chartreuse. You should be throwing this. I mean, that exists now. When they figure out how to tie it together, then I think, you know, we're taking the skill out of it, which I think is most of what everybody's talking about, whether it's Block It, whether it's MDJ, the skill. The skill that it takes to use that is a different skill, but it still takes a skill. You may not appreciate it as much because they're looking at a screen. I can't do that. I explained that before. I can't sit there and look down. I'm old. My neck hurts. My back hurts. My shoulder hurts. I'm not even sure what shoulder it is anymore because they both hurt. But at the end of the day, skills are skills, and each type of fishing takes its own skill. These kids coming up that understand this stuff really well, you look at Drew Gill, you look at some of these other people, you know, Dylan and Carter Nutt, they've got it dialed in. They know what they're looking at. They have evolved their skill, and it includes forward-facing sonar. Do I think they're going to be less of a fisherman without it? No, I don't. They're going to adjust. They've been able to adjust to that. They're going to adjust without it. I don't think it helps anybody, whether you're using it or not using it. And like I said, with Bassmaster, with what they're doing, where some tournaments you use it, some tournaments you don't. But you still got Trey McKinney right there at the top of the leaderboard for Angler of the Year. And everybody said he couldn't catch him without it. Well, what the hell are you going to say at the end of the season? Your excuses are going away. Again, I know it's challenging because we're pushing something and change is uncomfortable. The old guard versus new guard and all the other stuff. But I'm that guy that was out or was in, out, and back in. I just need to be good at whatever I need to be good at with what's allowed in the sport. And until they disallow it, I'm not saying anything, right? This is it. I'm going to get to be as good as I can at what's allowed. It's like, hey, build me a house, but you can't use a hammer. No nail guns. Who the hell? I mean, you're going to use the tools that you're allowed to use. Can you imagine if they just outlawed nail guns in house construction just because it makes it too easy? Because it makes it more efficient? Because people are getting done quicker? Because people, I mean, think about it, right? At some point, you have to have logic and reasoning. I don't know I'm rambling, but to me, this is such a weird, interesting topic because I was around before it existed. I came up not using it, went away, came back, it's there. And I'd be an absolute idiot if I wasn't using every minute on the water to try and understand and use that technology. Because it's allowed. If the plea is to ban it, fine. Go back to doing what we were doing. Cast out the bank, side scan, all those things, but I don't think it changes it much. Just not in my opinion. And I don't know a lot. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but it just doesn't change much. I watched those guys on this last tournament over the last weekend out there on Yall in Oklahoma, and they were trying to use their scope time at opportune times, right? You know, they weren't using it early. Some did, but most didn't. They were blind casting at the things that we all just called casting before, where we just fan cast anytime we had an area that we thought held fish because it had the right structure. Now they're blind. You're not blind. You're fishing with instinct. So there's that side. Then there's the other side. They turn the scope on. They get out there 20, 30 foot, and they're finding suspended fish, and they're working on those. I don't know. That's kind of like a pattern I would normally do. Sun gets up, getting out a little deeper. Unless there's a lot of vegetation and cover. Then I might just go straight to that vegetation and cover, or whatever. It's like boat dogs, vegetation. I may just go pitch and flip that all day when the sun gets up. But 90% of the time these days, we have all learned, regardless of side scan, regardless of forward-facing sonar, we know there's fish that are staging out there. And you go fish the farthest point that you can, and you side scan those, and you see the group of fish sitting at the bottom of a point that's 35 foot of water. I can tell you in Arizona, these cats out here that are winning these tournaments, they ain't fishing shallow. They're scoping. But what they're doing is they're graphing everything before they even stop. And if they don't see the school, they just keep on moving. They see a school, they may stop, and they're going to cast at it. They're going to do a couple different things. They're going to put their forward-facing sonar on it. They're going to put that beam on it. And they're going to throw a few things and see if those fish are active. If they're not, they're just going to pick up and move and go to find the next school. But you're not using that forward-facing sonar technology to stop. You're using the side scan, the 2D, and the rest of the things for the stuff that we're putting in as time and, you know, just kind of coasting around looking for those groups. So, again, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't think calling for an all-out ban is the right thing without data. Show me data, make a business case, be professional, go from there. If the data says it's hurting fisheries, obviously I'm against it. But I think you're going to be hard-pressed to show that right now. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to prove that there's a negative effect. The worst part about it is the division that it causes between the scopers and non-scopers. That ain't fishing. And then you got the other people going, but it's allowed. So, at the end of the day, I think everybody should just shut the hell up. Go out and fish. Worry about you. Catch what you can catch. If you're allowed to use it because you're stupid if you're not using it if you're allowed. And if you're not allowed to use it, don't use it and go do the best you can. But in the areas where you're allowed to use it, because you'd be an idiot not to. And I know there's a lot of people on the circuits that don't use it. They're just like, no, I'm old school. Well, you ain't winning either. So you might get lucky every once in a while, pull one out. Especially when there's shallow fisheries, stuff like that. You don't need it. It's not as big. It's not as important. But the guys that are using it, it's to their advantage. Why wouldn't you? It's such a weird topic. I need more beer. We're going to end this here, 15 and a half minutes. Let me know what you think, because, like I said, I'm just right down the middle. I am neutral. I'm going to use it when it's allowed. And any smart person would. Ain't about morals. Isn't about your personal opinion. It's about being able to build a house with the tools that are provided to you to use. And if somebody told you you couldn't build that house unless you had a chisel and, you know, an old stump to beat things in, you wouldn't want to do it. This is a tool that's allowed right now. Shut up and use it. I don't know.